He's back. He's f***ing back! Yes! Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is directed by Gareth Edwards, and this is the first film in the Star Wars anthology series. We have been waiting for a film like this forever, at least I have. This stars Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso, who gets picked up by the rebellion and says, hey, we need your help, because there's this huge space weapon that's about to destroy all the planets, and we need your help to find the planets. It's basically the story of the opening crawl at the beginning of A New Hope. That's pretty simple. And just to let you guys know right now, this review will contain no spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, you have nothing to worry about. So here we go with the review. I'm not gonna lie, while I do love Star Wars a lot, I was a little worried going into this movie, and I'll tell you why. This is gonna be the first spin-off movie. Now, this movie could have gone either way. This movie could have been good, or this movie could have been bad. And the trailers looked great. The cast is awesome. I liked the Godzilla reboot, which was directed by Gareth Edwards. But part of me was just a little worried going into this movie, and I gotta tell you right now, I loved this movie. I had a great time watching it. I actually kind of liked it a little more than The Force Awakens, and I loved The Force Awakens a lot. We'll start with the positives, and then we'll get into the negatives, because this is not a 100% perfect movie, but for the most part, I found it to be quite perfect. The visuals in this movie are just astounding to look at. This is a gorgeous looking movie. I would have to say that this has more practicality than probably The Force Awakens, because the little amounts of CGI in this movie are so well executed that's insane. The battle sequences are terrific. This is a war film, and that's what Gareth Edwards had wanted to do. He wanted to make a Star Wars film that was a war film, not just space battles. Of course, there are space battles in this movie, but this is a genuine war film. There's no lightsaber battles in this movie. There's no duels or anything. It feels like you're watching a Saving Private Ryan, or even like this year's Hacksaw Ridge. It's so well crafted that I love the way this film was directed. This might be the best directed Star Wars movie, and I know I may be going a little too far by saying that, but in terms of directing, this might be the best one in terms of filmmaking. The way the film is shot, it's shot on film. I love how all the Star Wars films are being shot on film now. This one was shot, I believe, in 65mm and 70mm, so that's just great. I love the way this film is shot. Script was very good. Some of the lines were quite cheesy, as expected in the Star Wars movie, but for the most part, the dialogue was good. The story was handled very well. I liked Gareth Edwards' direction. As I brought up with the action sequences, this film is very, very well directed. In terms of the performances and the writing and the action sequences and the visuals and all that stuff, it is very well directed. And I gotta go back to the visuals for a second. Like, the practicality, there's like some creatures in this movie that are like really good looking, and I'm just blown away by how visually groundbreaking the industry has gone, and that's the cool thing about this movie. The acting from everybody is nothing short of perfect. I loved almost every performance in this movie. Yeah, I said it, almost every performance. We'll start off with Felicity Jones. Felicity Jones is a truly magnificent actress working today. She was so great and like crazy that I'm just like, I cannot wait to see whatever else this woman does. Then she did The Theory of Everything, and I thought she overpowered Eddie Redmayne in that movie. And she was amazing in that. She's wonderful as Jyn Erso. You couldn't have picked anyone better to play Jyn Erso. I knew from the moment they cast her that she would be wonderful, and she was great. She's charming, she's badass, she's intimidating. Felicity Jones killed it as Jyn Erso, and I really loved her performance in this film. I also really liked Diego Luna in this movie, and Donnie Yen and K2SO. Those were three of my other favorite characters. I liked almost everyone else in this movie. Riz Ahmed was very good as the Imperial pilot. I liked Jin Yan. Is that how you pronounce his name? If it's not, I'm sorry. And another performance I should have brought up earlier was Ben Mendelsohn as Krennic. Ben Mendelsohn, terrific actor. Krennic, corny as hell, over the top, but he was so enjoyable to watch. I loved Krennic in this movie. We'll get to Forrest Whitaker in a little bit. Oh boy, yeah, in a little bit. Just give me a few minutes, okay? All right, thanks. The pacing, the first 20 minutes were a little slow for me. They were a little bumpy. After the first 20 minutes, I was completely in. Because last night when I went to go see the movie, I was saying to myself, the second act to me felt a little slow. And it did. The second act was just a little slow compared to the first and third acts. But then over time I realized, it was just the first 20 minutes in terms of the pacing that wasn't really that strong. But everything else when it comes to the pacing and editing was all well put together. Oh, there's one more thing I have to mention before I get to my negatives. Darth Vader. Everyone knows Vader's in this movie. It was amazing seeing him again. And even though he's not in the movie a lot, I was satisfied with all the sequences with him. Sure, it was great seeing Darth Vader again on the big screen, but the thing is, though, if you put him into the movie a lot more, it would have felt like fan service. And there was a good amount of fan service in this movie, but it wasn't like in your face like certain movies that have done that, like Ghostbusters. And this one, with Vader, his sequences, he's only in about 2 to 3 scenes. They're all great, especially his last scene in the movie. The last scene with Vader in this movie, I went to go see this movie with my friends John and Katie, and Katie was like bawling when the movie ended. I was crying inside, but I wasn't physically crying. It was just really wonderful seeing Vader again, and I thought, for the little time he was on screen, it was handled perfectly. And I loved hearing James Earl Jones' voice again as the character. That was just great. Now, going into my negatives with the film, this first one is just a minor flaw. I didn't really think the score was all that compelling. I love Michael Giacchino a lot, but I didn't think the score was as strong as John Williams' scores. But then again, if you guys didn't know, Michael Giacchino only had little time to compose this movie, so I don't think that's entirely his fault. Part of that's probably Disney's. Like I said, the first 20 minutes do drag a little bit, but for the most part, it is still compelling. And I brought up Forrest Whitaker. Look, I love Forrest Whitaker a lot, and the character of Saw Gerrera seemed very interesting. However, the voice just irritated me. Save the rebellion! Save the dream! Like, it just annoyed me a little bit, and I can understand if some people like the way he spoke, but his voice is going to be very hit or miss with people. I love Forrest Whitaker a lot, but his performance just let me down a little bit. But overall, Rogue One was a great first anthology film in this Star Wars saga. I loved it a lot. I had a great time watching it. I will be seeing it again. This is not a movie I can only see once. Alright? I promise you guys I will be seeing this again. Rogue One, the Star Wars story, gets an A. Guys, tell me down what you thought of this movie. If you saw it, thank you so much for watching this review, and I'll see you guys soon.